Hi, I'm Krista McGee. I'm here with health.com, and as an expecting mother myself, I want to share with all of you moms out there some yoga tips and modifications that you can be armed with when you go into a yoga class. I really don't want moms to quit practicing yoga when they get pregnant if they're afraid of certain things, because yoga during your pregnancy is actually one of the most beneficial forms of exercises you can do. It's low impact, it's great for opening up the hips and strengthening the legs. It's great for bringing blood flow to the pelvic floor region and also strengthening those muscles. It's really great for rest and relaxation. It's also really good for that mind-body connection. So it gives you that body awareness, and it helps you with your breathing, and it's going to help with labor and delivery, and it's also going to help your body bounce back a lot quicker. So I found yoga really helpful with my first pregnancy, and I'm finding it right now extremely beneficial during my nausea phase of my pregnancy. So I want to share with you everything you can do while you're pregnant. First and foremost, when you're doing your sun salutations, as you get bigger and bigger, it's hard to find balance with the feet together in Tadasana. So I often tell my expecting moms to widen their feet and do everything in a more hip width stance, which makes it a lot easier when you're lifting the arms up and when you're diving forward. Again, it gives you a space for your belly to come through when you're doing your forward bends. So remember, you can stand with your feet hip width apart so you feel stable in a lot of your poses. You don't have to have the feet together in mountain pose. Another thing, when you're starting out with your sun salutations, you might start to feel a little intimidated or a little nervous about the chaturangas. So I show moms some different variations they can do. If you're in a plank here and you can't lower down to your belly, you can always just drop your knees and go halfway down here like a modified chaturanga, and then swoop over your toes and come into an upward dog this way so your belly's still lifted off the floor. Another option for my stronger mommies is to do a chaturanga push-up. So you just go straight down, straight up, and then you go back to your downward facing dog. And if you want to skip your chaturangas altogether, you can do plank, and then you can go into an upward facing dog with flexed feet, really keep your legs energized, and then you can go back to your downward facing dog. Now, downward facing dog is a great pose for expecting moms because it's going to strengthen the entire body. It's a gentle inversion. If at any point you feel dizzy or lightheaded, come down and rest, and you can do a wide knee child's pose. So again, as your belly gets bigger and bigger, instead of having the knees closed, you're going to want to open the knees, and you can come forward here into child's pose position and rest throughout your class. You can also place a block under your head, and you'll have a nice support, and you'll keep your belly a little more elevated. In yoga and in the yoga practice, and as you get larger and larger, twists are contraindicated. You don't want your belly to cross the midline. So for example, if we were to do a lunge and then twist, instead of twisting across the midline and bringing the baby, squashing everything inside out to the opposite side of the knee, you would do an open twist. So you would just take your elbow on the inside of the knee and keep the belly always open in the twist. It's the same idea in a seated spinal twist. If I was here and my teacher said to twist, instead of twisting across the midline, I would just twist to the open side. So for every twist, remember to just stay to the open side. The one twist that you can do throughout your entire pregnancy is in straddle, because nothing's ever crossing the midline. Our belly's safe, our baby's here. So you could do a nice straddle forward bend with the twist, and you'll feel great here because everything is still open. And this is actually one of my favorite ones for my expecting moms to do, both standing and then also in the seated straddle position. Really nice because you'll get the inner thighs open, that entire hip region, and you're fine doing your twist here because the baby is still to the open side. So great thing to know there. Another thing is, because you can't lie on your belly as you get into your second and third trimester, when they do the prone exercises in a yoga class like bow or locust or any of those, my pregnant mommies can just stay on hands and knees. They can do their cat-cows. They can also do a one-legged bow here on hands and knees when everyone else in class is doing their full bow on their belly. And another great exercise for my expecting mommies is camel, because camel, you're on your knees and you can do a nice supported back bend here. If you feel like you're open enough and it doesn't bother you, you can go all the way into your camel with the toes flexed or with the toes pointed. So camel and on all fours are great ways to do back bends instead of being prone and on your belly. Now for a lot of women, they start to feel uncomfortable lying on their back. If I was never uncomfortable on my back and my doctor said it was fine for me to lie on my back up until my delivery, if that's you and you feel okay lying down, when it comes to bridging, you can take a block and place it under your sacrum and take a nice restorative bridge pose here, as opposed to going into your full wheel or anything that's a little too intense. That's gonna overstretch the belly. So I always like doing my restorative bridge there. And if you're one of those who always needs to keep your head elevated above your heart, there's a nice trick that you can do. If you have 2 blocks at home and or a bolster, you can place 2 blocks down. Here's kind of my modified bolster. I'm gonna lie it this way so that it's propped on the blocks. And then you have something here to stay upright against. So the head is above the heart. And I often have my mommies do final relaxation this way. It also feels good to bring the feet together in Baddha Konasana and rest here. You can also do a lot of your floor work. So if you were to do a hamstring stretch, for instance, and you wanted to lie down with your head supported, you could do your hamstring stretches here. You can stay nice final relaxation. Some mommies do a very, very gentle twist with both knees low and let them fall to one side. And you can also take your final relaxation in just a nice little fetal position, which is always really great when you're lying down sideways when everyone else is on their backs in final relaxation. You can do a nice little restorative here. One other thing I wanted to show you is in pigeon pose. As your belly gets bigger and bigger, blocks are always your nice friend here. And I often show my mommies 2 ways to do this. One is to place the block under the front hip, and that elevates you enough so you're lifted, your baby feels supported, your belly feels supported. If you want to go forward a little bit, you can, or you can always just stay upright here. Hip openers are wonderful for expecting moms because we really do want to get this area nice and open. You can also take the block on the front of the back thigh, if you can see that. So now my back thigh is supported on the block. My belly has a lot of space and I can fold this way. So this is a really nice way to do pigeon as you start to get bigger and bigger and your belly feels quite large. All of these poses are also good in the first trimester for nausea, when you have fatigue. Yoga, even just a short 10-minute yoga flow can make you feel so much better. The other thing with balance, I know some mommies start to feel a little off balance. Feel free to go to a wall when they're doing standing balances, or if you're at home and you can put your hand on a chair for poses like tree, for dancing Shiva, for eagle pose, any of those poses, just so that you feel stable and secure. Because the main thing is you want to feel safe as a mommy. You know, a lot of these hip openers that we do, like cow face pose here, obviously as your belly gets bigger and bigger, you can't go forward, but you can always get the benefit of the hip opener just by sitting up. And for your forward seated fold, just like our standing seated forward bend, or standing forward bend, make sure your feet are hip width apart so that you have the space and the reach to come forward, and you still have a lot of space for your baby and security there. So of course you want to check with your doctor before you do any exercises. And if it's your first pregnancy, I know there's a lot of unknowns and it's always kind of nerve-wracking and a little scary, but know that yoga is such a great tool and exercise to use because it's all about listening to your body. And that's what you want to do while you're pregnant, is really take all of those phases in stride and be really actively engaged with each one of them, because it's such an important, miraculous time, and it feels so good to get more and more connected to that beautiful being that's growing inside of you and to your body throughout the entire process. So for more tips like these, please join me at health.com and or like our Facebook page, and I'll see you there.